Well, we see them at the Western Clash. That looked pretty good from Team ENDEMIC. For them, this is such an important match. So seeing them have that first start or that first win in this best of 5 is a great sign for them, especially when you talk about consistency. Collusion mentioned it, ENDEMIC is an inconsistent team. And now coming in after that very dominant win, getting the 3 over LFM, winning game 1, and taking us to Infernal Shrines, which used to be a Freedom map, Jay-How, but seems to be more of ENDEMIC's cup of tea now.
It's just, you could see some of the strategies for Team Freedom are dated, and it's hard to say that because, again, the impact, and the minute I saw the changes on the patch notes right before we left for Sweden, I'm like, oh baby, this is changing HGC for a long time, and it's just those tower changes. It just changes the game entirely, and maybe not so much in your casual games or Hero League games, but in HGC level, the impact that some of those teams prioritized, this was one of the #1 battlegrounds that it was done on that double lane soaking, the rotations to prioritize those. That's no longer available. So Freedom, what you got in your new strategies?
We'll have to see. Alex Straza should be on the minds of the teams, especially for ENDEMIC, considering they are more than willing to pick her before second bans just to ensure that they get Mike's Alex.
I'm willing to bet that will be in their first 2 picks, and there is almost no mistake. You could wait, maybe go Deckard, but Alex Straza on this battleground, especially in North America, ENDEMIC being second pick, they know that they probably are going to get that in that second spot. So
it's also a place where ENDEMIC really wants Sonya, which makes sense because of the great shrine control that she has. It's also, I feel like, the solo laner that most embodies Cure as a player. Like, I feel like wow, that is...
I mean, if you're going Sonya, I'm coming out with a heavy hitter.
Oh, yeah. That might dissuade that enough.
Oh, you want to go on that green circle over there? How about I spit fire and lightning right on top of it? Or APOC, which, you know, one day might come back. One day.
10-second difference. Almost. I thought there was one in Europe today. Maybe not. Maybe not. But it may, especially anytime you have choke points that you need to retreat through, Apocalypse looks real good because it takes so long for it to hit that you want people to have to run over their teammates' spots, and that's when they end up getting stunned from it.
There we go.
There she is. Not with a Sonya, though. They'll go ahead and get their Phoenix, which Dansky, again, put on a clinic with this hero on this very map last week.
When you think about both these heroes objectively, Alex Straza, we know, likes to be prioritized on this map because of the shrine control. You get the Dragon Queen out, you can help complete a shrine, contest a shrine, probably better than anything. Ragnaros used to be the hotness, but obviously he's seen better days in terms of the meta, and I highly doubt we'll see him here to contest that, but Phoenix also very good at this battleground, controlling areas, gets his laser down, can splash AoE damage all over the place to make sure and help confirm kills onto the Skeletal Defender. So all around, 2 very strong picks for ENDEMIC.
Though he didn't work out in the last game for Team Freedom, this is a battleground where you would still see some Greymane play. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that from Freedom, though Hanzo is still up if that's where Lutano wants to go. Whatever's going to let him put on the poke. He'll get Collusion's Deckard Cain, and there's his Hanzo.
You know, Tassadar, this is a map that I oftentimes argue is one of the few maps that you can objectively say he doesn't need to help carry somebody. He doesn't need to protect somebody. You know, Hanzo doesn't necessarily have a ton of damage around here, trying to hit the scatter arrows at least in the early part of the game. But Tassadar does fit very well for the objective, for a lot of defensive measures, and there is the potential for an old school shadow charge into a force wall and choke points. We don't see that because I think normally you need a little bit of damage from Tassadar at this point. But it is something to consider with Yoda on that team.
I think so too, especially since Freedom have told us they reverted role changes so that they can have the NA's best Tassadar with Yoda.
Right on cue.
It'll just be banned. And then Johanna ban too.
Well, Johanna does really well against Diablo. It doesn't have the liabilities that some of the other tanks have because you have that iron skin. Now, so Muradin obviously has been high priority. We've seen a little bit of ETC from B-Kid. We can talk about that if that does show up. Muradin seems likely in this scenario, but we'll see if maybe there's something else in this situation. But Johanna, obviously a really good ban right now. Johanna kind of at the top of the tier list right now in a lot of situations.
I think Muradin for sure is going to be what B-Kid wants. Still waiting to see if Kier wants Sonya here. I think solo lane wise, it's important to keep in mind Nasmus has been very open, not only in this phase, but in previous, in phase 1 for how many different heroes he plays and at a high skill level. But if you can't get Force Wall and Shadow Charge into it, Entomb with the Shadow Charge is pretty good too. So we might see Leoric come back in, but Sonya is going to be here, and Thrall and ENDEMIC sticking with this super melee composition.
Okay, Team Freedom has been known to run double damage dealer, and Yoda plays Jaina on this battleground. He's done it multiple times. And so Jaina into a heavy frontline composition like that, a little bit scary, but if you have enough frontline control, which again has been my biggest qualm with Team Freedom, is that second melee that they have generally doesn't have control. Diablo has some, but if you get some type of control here, Deckard has a lot of control, Diablo has control, and if you can bring that damage, you might just be able to counter and blow these guys up. Yes, Alexstrasza, once post level 10 comes in and the Cleansing Flames does help enable dive with heavy melee, but there's a lot of tools available between a Hanzo and a Jaina.
If we see a Jaina versus this from ENDEMIC, I hope it's gonna be Ring.
Is it time for double support?
That's all I'm saying. I don't think so. There's Blaze. Blaze will help with that, having bunkered. And there's Jaina, so they'll get some more the heavy front line, like you said, some heals for Jaina, and then even having a bunker for the safety too.
Well, we need some type of tank frontline protection. Again, Muradin does seem likely here, but again, all of these heroes between Sonya, Thrall, Alexstrasza, early game heals, and even trying to wind up those heals. I think you are right there. Ring of Frost does look very appealing if you can get the right type of setup, and you have it with the Blaze on the stun, the root there from Deckard. If you get that type of control with the slows from multiple angles of this team, then you could be looking to bring the pain and just counter this. But ENDEMIC, again, ETC does not seem likely. Oh, this could also be a Lornado game, but that much melee, they got tools.
Oh,
galore.
yeah. Maybe if they want to have more, if there is an ETC, yeah, they got it.
So the ETC was something you and I had discussed a little bit, because right now BKit's sitting at 2-0 on ETC, so it's been a good pickup for them so far. The one thing that you had mentioned in the lead up to this was about the poke damage potential that we've seen a lot of from Lutano. He has Hanzo, pretty decent range, not what it once was, but still pretty strong.
Yes.
And then you have a lot of poke potential from Jaina as well. The one thing that he struggles with is engaging into poke. And if you can poke without having to pull the trigger quickly on your big abilities, ETC does struggle in those moments. But at the same time, if ETC finds opportunities and you open the door for, okay, we burn a lot of cooldowns, ETC can gladly step in. But again, Deckard back there between Lornado, between the Stay a While and Listen, between his root, has a lot of control over a hero like ETC.
Yeah, I feel like Freedom won this draft hard.
Yeah.
With what they have. Like, it looks really good. I think picking an early Alexstrasza, that early of an Alexstrasza is always risky, because you put Abundance down, high Blizzard, high Diablo charging in, or the Lightning Breath that you talked about. There is a lot of ways to counter that. Scroll of Sealing, Stay a While. So that bunching together of ENDEMIC is... The one good thing, though, is that Thrall and Sonya have a lot of self-sustain, especially with the Echo of the Elements build that we are seeing from Thrall, but I'm pretty fearful for this Alexstrasza game.
I'm with you. We'll see how this control comes in. Also wonder if we'll get the Emerald pickup at level 7 from Deckard for that area denial of healing and reduce some of that healing. We've already gone Sapphire, so see if we continue to play into the gems, and if we make it to 20, I mean, there's the gem talent. Have we seen it yet where you get the cooldown?
I think maybe once or twice. But Bottomless Flasks,
it's pretty strong.
It's so good, and you know, it's especially good because you get to 20. If you lose Deckard Cain, who is obviously very squishy, you still pretty much have your support, which is just so nice to have, as long as you stay fighting over that area.
That's such a good point. Like, every time you think about it, you're like, well, I still have healing, so it's fun. It's like having Uther, dead Uther, except Uther lives forever. You just kind of have to run to him.
That truly is terrifying. An Uther that lives forever. We're going to see some body blocks. As he jet propulsions, those body blocks were necessary for that, so they can keep putting the damage on. Excellent job by ENDEMIC. And Dansky gets that final kill.
Wow, that is exactly what you want. Zugrug trying to counter, Biggie able to walk away for now. Udall supplying some heals. Lutano, though, that was an example of some of the potential damage he can put out. Yoda's going to miss the follow-up damage there as we see the warp out by Dansky, making sure that he stays alive. And, of course, Jaina, as we know, loves to stack up that baseline because you will need that save button from the ice block. And that does require you to do damage to the chill targets.
Zugrug's going to charge in. B-Kid should be here to, nope, try to help out with that. But before he can even walk in and get the peels going, the damage is way too severe from Yoda and Lutano, and they'll pick up a kill of their own.
Yeah, the aggressive rotations right now by both teams are very surprising. I think Yoda might have tried to warp. I couldn't tell if the legs started that weird spring action right as the overpower went in, but definitely perfectly played. I don't know if he would have made it out anyways as the damage came in fierce there, but 1-to-1 kills so far, experience fairly even. No overall control yet as we start to turn our attention towards the camps. So we're about 50 seconds out from our first shrine phase.
Yeah, those aggressive rotations, though, those are going to be something really good for Freedom's repertoire. That's one thing that you can have with Diablo because of the control and setups that he has. You have the follow-up crowd control of Deckard Cain and then slows from Jaina, not to mention, of course, the burst damage from her, which is the big reason why she's a central feature in a lot of early game rotation squads. This gives them a couple of camps, one in the bottom, one in the mid, as they start to head up. And remember, with an Alex Straza, ENDEMIC ideally is always at the shrines first so that they can get to that critical mass level of skeletal defenders and then hop into the Dragon Queen to confirm the rest of the shrine. And having to deal with camps, it's, you know, they're working on getting a camp now, but they want to make sure that they're there for that.
Well, this is one of the more difficult areas to get at the top shrine because your entry and exit points are one and the same, and there's not a whole lot of ways in and there's not a whole lot of ways out. The one thing I will always stress on this top one is watch the minions, right? You have the middle point. If you have control over that middle ground with this camp, it buys you real estate on this map that you don't get elsewhere. It doesn't matter because Team Freedom is like, we're just kind of soaking 2 lanes as Blaze and Jaina showing mid and bot, not even willing to contest in this early one.
Yeah, this is something that I wondered if LFM would do when they played versus ENDEMIC's Alex Straza comp on this map. They didn't end up doing that. They wanted to contest it. And unfortunately for them, they lost it, and it set them rather far behind. But it's an early Punisher. And if ENDEMIC devotes a lot of resources to getting it, then Team Freedom can try to push these lanes really hard and force ENDEMIC to lose out on some experience, maybe get some structural damage that would even out what ENDEMIC can do with this. But it also comes at the cost of ENDEMIC not using Dragon Queen to get it, which means they might be able to do more with the Punisher. So
you can siege up with it.
Yes, all these moves and counter moves that I was hoping to see from this series coming to life.
One of the big plays that we saw in ENDEMIC previously, they used Phoenix. I think Phoenix had died in one of their earlier skirmishes, and they used Phoenix to prep the other lane, and then they rotated down. Zugrug, however, being aggressive here, Cure spinning to win, trying to get some of that healing, going to stand on the circle there as well. They're being aggressive. See if they rotate out or whether they commit to this fort, because these forts are worth far more now, but it looks like they're being poked away. Lutano and team, nice power slide there, but he's going to get flipped back. I don't know if he makes it out.
That scroll of ceiling zoning forced B-Kid down. A lot of focus was put into Cure, but changing it up to ETC after he was willing to try to give more time to Cure to get away. I like seeing that whirlwind build that Cure has shown us several times versus Deckard Cain and Jaina with the slow and root removal. That's going to be necessary versus that. What's up?
Dragon Queen wasn't used there, was it?
No.
I thought that could be there for the potential disengage, but I think it was due to that scroll that went down. The root potential there was just too hard to turn back into. We saw good plays being made, but it was just the damage comes in so strong and so quick from this style of Team Freedom. And the experience, because of that double lane soaking, because of those kills, we're looking at about a 3/4 of a level lead here for Team Freedom.
Yeah, the team that gave up that shrine versus ENDEMIC, understanding ENDEMIC's composition and what they could get done with what ENDEMIC was trying to do there. Really well done by Team Freedom as they're working their way toward heroic abilities. Also the Emerald that you mentioned with the heal reduction there. And like you said, there's going to be quite a bullseye on the ground of where to place that Q.
I dig it. And right now we're seeing another rotation up. There's going to be the slow. Dansky's going to get hit with the scatter arrow. Lutano going to chase this one down. Lutano doing work in this early game, Gilly.
Very nice chase there. The Sapphire enabling the extra slow too. Following with the agility after the warp. to get that kill, gives them 10. Heroic abilities come online for Team Freedom. What is Yoda gonna pick? Water Elemental. And we do have Stay a While and Listen.
It gives you control. It gives you a potential disengage or an engagement tool. I mean, you get the follow-up, you get the Dragon's Arrow onto multiple targets, you get the Blizzard down, you get Lightning Breath to light everybody up. I mean, you have so many forms of control that it's going to be hard not to get value out of any number of those on that front line. But Stay a While and Listen, such a large area, definitely something that will have high impact.
It's a longer cooldown, though. A lot of times when we were seeing June play Deckard Cain, which he really likes Lornado anyway. He is very good at setting up kills for a team with it, but it's a very short cooldown heroic ability that could be there as an interrupt for Mosh Pit. So now I'm wondering if we see the Mosh Pit. There's still some other interrupts there for Team Freedom, but I think this is a map and a composition where ENDEMIC might be able to get some Moshes.
We'll see if it holds. It could be one of those things that you anticipate, but you have to be in constant communication of if you're Team Freedom. You can't let it surprise you. You are checking the talents. You are checking to see what's being picked up throughout the game, but this is one of those moments where you have to say, somebody has to keep an eye on it. You have to communicate and be aware of when that comes in, because it could come in at any moment, whether the stage dive or the mosh pit. Snap lock, and if the opportunity arises, that mosh pit might come in.
Kira gets hit by the Shadow Charge and the Root. Has the Whirlwind to get out of that. Dansky is going to hit heavy fire. Dragon's Arrow 2 keeps him in from being able to warp out from that, and he took a heavy damage, very battered after that Lightning Breath.
They're using a lot of their big tools early. Lightning Breath we've actually seen clear is much later in the game, but right now we've got the standoff here. Early lead for Team Freedom. We'll see when and if we get that Dragon Queen. Cure going in. He's going to be focused a little bit, but he's spinning to win. Root's going down. Earthquake as well. Bunker in response. Salvo trying to come in and do damage. That bunker thwarting so much.
Yeah, it did, but the Dragon Queen is trying to do her best to keep everyone alive. Another Scroll of Stealing hits a few as Nazmus wants to follow up. Zugrug too, everyone in, but Kira's found a Yoda in the back. Drops down the Blizzard, which was such a good drop of that Explosion. And Lutano with the Scatter Arrow go to Kira's demise, and this gives them a man advantage on the Shrine.
It's still close. The lead in favor of ENDEMIC. See if they stick around, try and close this out. Nice zoning by Nazmus as he puts down the oil and puts that giant Blaze body in between him and those skeletal defenders. And Team Freedom, they're going to be picking up the second Punisher as Nazmus will rotate up, deal with the damage from that top lane. But now, not giving up this Punisher, a little bit stronger. We're going to see if Team Freedom can make a little bit of it. And Gilly, looking at the talents or the heroics, there's some available between Lightning Breath, between Dragon Arrow, and of course that Water Elemental. If Team Freedom finds an opportunity, Zugrug's positioning now already speaks to me that if somebody steps out, he would go. Instead, they're going to go ahead and rotate down again. This is the heavy rotations we see from Team Freedom.
Yeah, those lower cooldown timers are working out super well for Freedom as they get one, then move down to the bottom now that they have 13, and look to put some damage in on that next fort. Though ENDEMIC responding appropriately, keeping just Sonya to deal with this Punisher, and then having the rest there. A lot of teams have been adapting to that Freedom style, not just on Shrines, but on many maps, and I feel like ENDEMIC is one of them. So ENDEMIC still, even though they're a little bit more behind than they were in the last game, still having those great responses to Team Freedom whenever Freedom tries to get some extra structural damage in.
The rotations have been pretty great. I mean, obviously they've suffered a few kills this game, but between Sky Temple and this game, it seems they have Freedom's number in those rotations. So we'll see if Freedom ever has an opportunity to make something of those. But talent tier advantage in favor of Team Freedom. ENDEMIC, they're going to defend here at the bottom. This is a potential heavy push. Blaze being that anchor, potential flanker as well. Team Freedom, they're going to go ahead and back away.
Lutano's been showing this game just why we highlighted him at the beginning of this match. A lot of crucial skill shots, connecting, giving kills, and that team and the teamwork to bail Yoda out of that position when Cure went in. He was sure he had a kill on Yoda, but dropping the Blizzard, walking him through it, and then the turnaround of Collusion and Lutano to get the kill was integral in Freedom being able to claim the last Shrine. And this puts Freedom exactly where we know that they excel on Infernal Shrines. Though we haven't seen them pick this map so far in Phase 2, they are showing that they still have a good understanding of how to play this particular map out.
Still anybody's game. I think timing-wise, ENDEMIC realizes that 16 definitely in favor of Team Freedom. Next shrine will be at the bottom, which is where we saw Team Freedom. Trying to soften that up a little bit, maybe make that next Punisher a little bit stronger, get to the keep a little bit quicker. But ENDEMIC, so far, they haven't really tried to get aggressive while they're on even talent tiers. And again, with Team Freedom, they will likely play around that 16. So for ENDEMIC, are they going to try and push in structures elsewhere? Are they going to try and for the invade? Because I just can't see them conceding a Punisher so willingly without even making an attempt, especially because they have that mosh pit. And at this juncture of the game, just ripping a mosh pit to get one kill when you're down is worth it. You just got to make sure the rest of the team on the other side isn't there to kill you in return, or at least as easily.
16 is going to be so good for Team Freedom too, because the additional slows from Fire Breath, but also the damage reduction. That's going to do a lot versus the very melee-centric composition of ENDEMIC. Possible armor reduction, too, gives even more to the blow-up of Team Freedom. And then Scroll of Stone Curse is a monumental power spike for Deckard Cain, and especially when you are almost guaranteed to have multiple people inside the Scroll of Sealing with these melee compositions. The last shrine didn't work out for ENDEMIC. Let's see what they can do for this one, as they show that they're willing to stay around it without 16 for the moment.
I was going to say, they saw Jaina in the top lane, which Jaina was just clearing, so they tried to find something, tried to make something happen, the best of a bad situation, because I can tell you that they're probably, if this is raced by Team Freedom, I think this is now for Team Freedom to no longer just soak and get experience. I think this is their time to get a Punisher and push keep. And this is the moment where getting a keep is far more valuable than that double lane soak. You're going to net more experience, you're going to net more overall battleground control. And ENDEMIC, they are struggling to get 16 as it's 35 and counting here for Team Freedom.
All right, it's way too unsafe to soak in the bot. They have multiple people in the mid. And just Kier trying to push top, but it's not going to be in time for 16. Freedom felt so confident in that shrine and in the positioning of themselves in this game that they got two camps along with this too. So they have a camp behind this Punisher, and then a camp that's going to push that mid lane. And that may be a possible point that Team Freedom can rotate to should this bottom lane not work out for them. But having the bottom wall down, 16 still half a level away for ENDEMIC, this Punisher jump is going to be scary with the Zugrug on Diablo following it up.
Goes in, starting to bait back just a little bit. Punisher sitting at about 70%. This should 100% be a keep. And as you said, that middle camp is prepping that mid lane so they can rotate out here. Still no 16 for ENDEMIC, but there's going to be the setup. There's going to be the follow. The slide out by B-Kid is going to keep him alive for now. The Lightning Breath going out, locking down multiple members. No kills yet, but there's going to be the first to fall. Cure falls on Son.
Set up by the Stay a While and Listen. Well done by Collusion. Now Nasmus wants to set up more for his team as he jet propulsions in. The Punisher happy to follow that up as he almost takes down Big Impact, but a last-second heal from Michael Udall keeps him alive. But it seems to be all for naught with Team Freedom comfortable sitting on this floor for the moment. They haven't lost anybody yet as Jaina finally falls. Team Freedom will tie this series up 1-1.
Yeah, we got a hell of a series right now.
Oh yeah, we knew it would be.
This is two teams playing at the top of their game in different games, and it's not due to lack of effort on the other side, it's just being outplayed. We saw a very strong draft from Team Freedom in this game. You and I called it. At the end of that, it just looked, look, that's a lot of firepower. At any given moment, one person goes down, and it's hard to recover. But they executed it well, and that was the thing. And ENDEMIC did do well to stop rotations, but they couldn't stop the team fights. And the experience, again, when Team Freedom got that with that double lane soak during the first Punisher, it seemed like a mountain to overcome there. And the damage numbers don't tell the tale of the game. I mean, the numbers are low all around, but for ENDEMIC, it's just like they had no answers for what Team Freedom brought to this game, and we got ourselves 1-1 now.
Yeah, and I feel like you can go back to that first shrine that Team Freedom so easily gave that up. They got more than enough to counter the experience, anything that was going to be done from ENDEMIC, and ENDEMIC almost feeling like they were pressured to get more out of that particular Punisher, staying around for a little bit too long, getting punished for that, set up Freedom really well to continue that game out, get into a point where they are comfortable, and that is being ahead of their opponents in a game, and then it's Infernal Shrines, so Team Freedom also comfortable there.
2 for 2 with map picks so far. I'm curious where we're going to see these teams take each other to next, with a lot of the key battlegrounds being taken away. We still got a lot to go in this series, especially being tied up 1-1, but the fact that they've played so well against each other, they clearly know each other, they're familiar with their strategies and their drafts, And it's just a battle of wills, I think, and execution at this. And this is Heroes of the Storm the way I love it.
And this is a match between two teams that have a lot of implications for the Western Clash, but also even beyond that, even going further, wanting to be in a good place for playoffs, or maybe even be at the top of the standings, though Tempo Storm and Heroes Hearth might have something more to say about that.
They're pretty strong. I mean, they've